Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda, and please welcome to our Operation Freedom platform, wethepeopleprocessing.com. You know, are you tired of being threatened to be canceled just because you have a company focused on liberty and freedom? Well, worry no more, folks. wethepeopleprocessing.com is your go-to merchant services, freedom-based company to provide business service payment solutions. We the People Processing provides their clients a cancel culture-free platform which is domestically based. They provide competitive rates, no contracts with next-day funding, a fully vetted and like-minded financial infrastructure, and full support for integrations, implementation, and e-commerce efforts. Bottom line, wethepeopleprocessing.com focuses on defending your company's free market growth, values, and future. Check them out at www.wethepeopleprocessing.com. Once you're on the site, enter in password Operation Freedom or call 855-499-2024. That's wethepeopleprocessing.com. Then, when on the website, enter Operation Freedom as your password or call 855-499-2024. Welcome back to Operation Freedom, folks. I'm Dr. Dave Janda, broadcasting from our ancillary bunker linked to our main Freedom Bunker in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor. We're here every Sunday for you from 2 to 5 Eastern, also available 24/7 at davejanda.com, both the free, the public side, as well as the subscription side with extra shows, extra content, extra guests, extra analysis, and information that I cannot go into on the radio or on YouTube or on Rumble. Why? Because there are players, deep state players that are choke points at all of the above, not on this radio station, not at all, but in the FCC there is. And they would love nothing more than for anyone, either Theron or myself, to step over the line so they could shut down our Freedom Beacon, the best independent radio station in the country, Wham Talk 1600. Now, and the same is true of our Rumble channel and our YouTube channel, which is why we have davejanda.com. And why we have the subscription side where I can present information behind a paywall, and it's cheap, beyond cheap. It's the biggest bang for the buck in all the internet. Well, I can't afford $9 a month. Really? Really? My premise is that you cannot afford not to. And the reason why it's $9 a month is because we have to cover our expenses, because we spend thousands, many thousands of dollars every month on the security, because the deep state despises what we do in telling the truth and exposing the truth. You want to know how to support what we do? Well, guess what? Guess what? It's very easy. Become part of our Freedom family. Join us at davejanda.com. Take a test drive. We just uploaded one of our subscription content interviews with Dr. Lee Merritt. We have all three of them up there, actually. But the most recent, Unrestricted Warfare, goes viral. Well, that interview has now gone viral. But that's what we're dealing with, folks. We are in a war. We are in a war. And do not believe all the Tokyo roses on some Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, PBS, CNN, MSNBC. They're telling you, oh, we're not in a war. Let's critical race theory. Let's talk about how we divide and conquer the American public. Stop it. Stop it. You're your own worst enemy if you continue to watch that, or you continue to read the New York Times or the Washington Post. Forget it. You are your own worst enemy if you continue to do that. It's not only wasted time, you're filling your head full of propaganda to make you an easier target of these people. They're not human. They're not people. They're monsters. They truly are monsters. You want an example of this? Bush era, HW, the old man, and the kid, W, globalist tools, puppets, just like the Clintons, just like the Obamas, just like Romney, just like Ryan, just like McCarthy, just you name it, Pelosi, Schumer, all of them. They're all puppets. How do you think they got where they're at? You don't get anywhere in Washington if you're honest, if you're straightforward, and if you're doing things for the welfare of the American public. The only way you make it up the ladder in Washington, let alone even get there, is to be controlled, to be either bribed or compromised. Fact. I've talked about this at length. 1988, I'm walking out of the White House with a very well-known political figure, and we witnessed something at the White House. This is when Reagan was president, the end of his presidency. We witnessed an altercation at the White House that I'm not going into, but believe me, it was bad, really bad, and opened my eyes very early after getting to D.C. in '88. And as we were walking out of the White House down Pennsylvania Avenue to grab lunch, I looked at this well-known political figure and I said, so tell me, what percentage of people in this town, members of the House, Senate, their aides, the lobbyists, what percentage of all of them, what percentage are bribed, compromised, and just not doing anything to benefit the American public? And he looked at me, it straight on. Dave, 95%. That political figure has since died. However, I believe if we were walking down Pennsylvania Avenue today, we wouldn't have been in the White House with these two cretins in there with Biden and Harris. If we were walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, going to lunch, and I looked at the same political figure today and asked him that same question, he would, I'm sure, tell me it's not 95 anymore, Dave. It's 99.9%. Let me give you an example of somebody in that 99.9%. General Michael Hayden. You want to know about Hayden? I have an interview coming up with Kirk Wiebe, NSA whistleblower extraordinaire, this coming week. And we talk about this guy, Hayden. Anyway, headline from Steve Watson from Summit News. Bush-era NSA head says it's a good idea to send unvaxxed Trump supporters to Afghanistan. This is how these cretins think. And they don't even, it's beyond thinking. This is what they spew. Former head of the NSA and CIA during the George W. Bush globalist hack presidency, General Michael Hayden declared that he thinks it would be a good idea to send unvaccinated supporters of President Trump to die in Afghanistan. Hayden, who infamously declared that the Fourth Amendment changed on September 11, 2001, our 20th anniversary coming up of that, and went on to oversee mass surveillance of Americans at the NSA while the invasion of Afghanistan was implemented, made those comments. Hayden responded to a post, "Can we send the MAGA-wearing unvaxxed to Afghanistan? No use sending that plane back empty." Hayden also retweeted a picture labeling Trump MAGA supporters as our Taliban. Yeah. And that's what we got. And let me tell you something. The American public, at least a chunk of them, and I must say, it's the chunk that I believe have locked on to the independent media, are not taking it. And they are mouthing off. Let me give an example of a San Diego mom who confronted the little totalitarian puppets that run the city of San Diego. Derek, hit it.
Rooted Wings on Instagram. Nathan Fletcher, I tagged the heck out of you, so I'm sure that you are very familiar with me. Jim Desmond, thank you for your work. Wilma Wooten, this is also directed at you along with Nathan Fletcher. America is not a hospital. California is not a hospital. San Diego, it's not a hospital. This is a constitutional republic that guarantees protection of individual freedom and liberty and due process. This applies to our individual pursuits of medical interventions and health practices. San Diego is not a hospital floor that we collectively have checked into that subjects all patients to equitably prescribed medical care with no due process. Our Constitution does not secure for government power to impose forced equity in medical mandates and interventions or the power to punish carte blanche. There are 3.338 million people in San Diego County, 3,811 people who have died with COVID. Of those, 96%, 3,652, had comorbidities with hypertension, diabetes, cardiac disease accounting for the top three. Median age 77. That is a total fatality rate of 0.1%. 3.338 million people. That is a clear affinity for a specific vulnerable age and health demographic with majority fatalities prior to available treatment options and prevention. 91% of San Diegans, 60-69, received the injection. 98%, 70-79, received the injection. We remove consent from treating us like we are patients in a hospital ward. We are done. The consent of the governed is removed. We will not comply. We do not consent. Nathan Fletcher, you are on notice. We will constitutionally remove all petty tyrants beginning now.
Boom. And she's not alone. That San Diego mom, she's one of the people that Michael Hayden scum wants to send to Afghanistan to die. Yeah. Well, you know why he does, right? Because she speaks the truth and she confronts evil head on. Many people say, well, I don't know what I can do. Here's what you can do. Get off the couch. Well, I'm afraid I'll alienate my relatives. So alienate them. Do you cherish freedom? Do you cherish liberty? Then do something about it. And don't wait for everybody else to do it. I am sick and tired of people whining that, well, I don't know what to do. Oh, this is so bad. Yes, you do know what to do. But it takes effort. And it takes a little courage. And if you want some inspiration, listen to that mom. She confronted these petty tyrants right in the face. So what's going to happen? Well, guess what? They're going to take their totalitarian dictates and they're going to crawl back in their holes. Because that's what happens with these totalitarian thugs. Is when you confront them with their own garbage, they run. Because they're cowards. And because they know one simple fact. We outnumber them. And the people, the patriots, the freedom, love, and patriots have had enough. And my question to you is, when are you going to have enough? When are you peacefully going to protest? When are you going to talk to your relatives about the facts of what's happening? Whether it's in your school districts, in your state, in your country, with your healthcare system, or with what's happening on the border that Victor Avila spoke about, or what General Vallely spoke about earlier in this show about Afghanistan. You want some inspiration about Afghanistan and standing up to the totalitarian thugocracy? Well, we played the clip before, but I'm going to play it again. Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Schuler. He stepped up, Lieutenant Colonel. And he called out Biden and Harris and this Secretary of Defense scum, Austin, and Blinken, this scum, it's the Secretary of State. And every level down, including all the Joint Chiefs of Staff, including Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, about their negligence, about how they're putting tens of thousands of Americans just to the slaughterhouse of the kindler and gentler Taliban. He put his career on the line. Within hours of the clip you're going to hear, he was dismissed. And he will be from his command, and he will be dismissed from the Marine Corps. But he will not be dismissed from every single patriot in our country. Because we all thank him for having the courage to confront those that are doing wrong around him and putting everybody in harm's way. If this patriot, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Schuler, doesn't inspire you to get off the couch, then I don't know what will. Eric, hit the clip.
The reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down, and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise. And I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone? Did anyone do that? And when you didn't think to do that, did anyone raise their hand and say, we completely messed this up? I've got battalion commander friends right now that are posting similar things, and they're saying, wondering if all the lives were lost and if it was in vain, all those people that we've lost over the last 20 years. And he goes on to say that we're all part of a chain. While every link may not be tested, the strength of the chain is only as strong as each link, and you got to be, good links, something like that. And what I'll say is, from my position, potentially all those people did die in vain if we don't have senior leaders that own up and raise their hand and say, we did not do this well in the end. Without that, we just keep repeating the same mistakes. This amalgamation of the economic / corporate / political / higher military ranks are not holding up their end of the bargain. I want to say this very strongly. I have been fighting for 17 years. I am willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability.
I demand accountability. Are you doing that? Are you doing that? Are you demanding accountability? I hope so. Because if you're not, the country you grew up in will be lost forever. That's not hyperbole. It's the truth. If you're going to wait for 2022 or 2024 or Trump to do something, that's exactly what the deep state wants you to do. They want you to keep your mouth closed. They don't want you to peacefully protest. They don't want you to peacefully talk to everyone and everyone you know about what's really going on. They want you to sit on the couch and watch their news broadcasts and wait for 2022 so they can solidify their power further. They want you to wait for 2024 so that they can even further solidify their power. That's right. They want you to sit and do nothing and whine amongst yourselves. That's what they want. If you do that, well, we're done. Our country's done. Look, there isn't a week that goes by that I don't get threats about me not doing my show the coming week, right? But I've been here for you since October 31st, 2010. And I'm going to continue to be here for you. Why? Because I see it as one of the avenues that you can get the truth. Did you see the entirety or hear the entirety of Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Schiller's remarks in the bought-off lamestream fake media? Did you? Did Rachel Maddow talk about that? Did CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, PBS, or even Fox for that matter? Right. Yet people continue to watch that propaganda and get mesmerized and paralyzed. And therefore the deep state continues to enhance its power Zero Hedge reported on Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller's remarks. It was entitled, quote, "I demand accountability. Marine commander has now been fired for his video ripping inept Afghan war decisions." Let me read you a portion of what they wrote. Through there's abundant example of retired and former military officers publicly demanding accountability of the Biden administration over how the horribly bungled and now utterly tragic Afghan drawdown and evacuation is going, it's incredibly rare and almost unheard of to see an active duty officer voice criticisms directed at top Pentagon brass on a public level. But one high-ranking Marine officer has done just that in a now viral video. Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller was sitting in a Marine infantry battalion commander in good standing, but late in the day on Friday, it's been confirmed he was promptly relieved of his command over his statements. Quote, "I am willing to throw it all away to say to my seniors, I demand accountability," the lieutenant colonel said. Following the horrific deaths of 13 American soldiers and over 160 Afghans during Thursday's suicide attack on Kabul airport, Schiller shredded the ineptitude of the military's top leadership, even questioning whether the entirety of the botched withdrawal and evacuation effort means Americans have, quote, "died in vain," end quote, over the course of the whole 2-decade-long war. His focus in the scathing critique was to question whether top brass stood up to the Biden administration, even while knowing that the administration's decision-making would lead to chaos, disaster, and possible deaths, as is tragically playing out now. Quote, "I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I'm saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Air Base, a strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone," end quote. Quote, did anyone do that? And when you didn't think to do that, did anyone raise their hand and say, hey, we completely messed this up? Schiller questioned further. Unprecedented and raw is also that he's in uniform, sitting in what appears to be his base office. The long-serving officer of 17 years knows this, and as he later acknowledged in a short follow-up message, quote, "Did any of you throw your rank on the table?" And question Schiller himself does just that, and is now paying a price for it. Politico and others later in the day Friday confirmed that not only was Schiller quickly relieved of his command within 24 hours, but that action is being taken which will lead to discharge from the Marines altogether. Quote, "I've been in the Marines for infantry for 17 years. I started my tour with Victor 1-8. That's the current unit that's doing perimeter security, dealing with the mess that's going on there," Schiller explained. It's being widely reported that until being relieved of duty on Friday, he was commander of the School of Infantry East at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. In the video, as you heard, he ripped everyone from top Marine commanders to the Secretary of Defense for failures in Afghanistan, which led to more senseless deaths. Quote, "But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified in Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Forces could withstand the Taliban advance," he said. "We have chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who the commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combat commander. All of these people are supposed to advise," end quote. And they didn't. But he did. And he stood up for your country and our country and your freedoms and your liberties, and for those 25,000 still trapped Americans behind enemy lines that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden chuckle about. Yeah, they chuckle about it.